Right, we're recording.
Okay. Welcome to the meeting of the Executive Cabinet Member for Culture Portfolio. I'm Councillor Nadeem Ayoub, the Executive Cabinet Member for Culture. Today is Monday, the 5th of January 2026, and time has just gone 5:30. On this meeting are council officers and council colleagues. Okay, just going down the agenda. Item 1 is monitoring of the Executive Cabinet Member decisions. Is there anything that needs to come off, or has anybody got any questions regarding them? Have been circulated.
Chair, I think the first item on Rock Hall can come off because it's followed on by another report that came in December.
Okay, thank you, noted. Is that the only one? Okay. Can't see any indication of any questions, so okay, we'll move to item 2, which is the Albert Hall fees and charges, discussion charges report, which has been enclosed and been circulated to all members. Nicola, are you going to take us through this one?
I am. Good evening. My name is Nicola Littlewood. I'm Head of Service for Marketing Communications and Commercial Development. The Albert Halls falls within my service area. This report is in two parts, really. Its proposals contained relate to room hire and theatre booking charges within the overall complex, and it is a retrospective effect from the 1st of April 2025, and I can explain that as I talk through the report. There are 6 points on the recommendation, so there's quite a few things, but it is to approve retrospective increases in fees and charges for external room hire and performance space hire for 2025 and effective from the 1st of April 2025. It is to note and formally approve the increase in fees and charges for room hire and performance space for 2026 to 2027. There is also an element of the report that is to grant approval for the discretionary room hire procedure, and I'll talk through that as we go through the report. 3 of the next points are about delegation of authority to the Director of Corporate Resources in consultation with the Exec Cabinet Member to review and make amends as we move forward for fees in line with inflation and market benchmarking. That's in the scheme of delegation, and that is listed on the report for you. And then just the authorisation for the Borough Treasurer and the Borough Solicitor to take forward the necessary implications for the report. So just in the body of the report, just to give some background and context, Albert Halls is one of Bolton's flagship cultural venues. It's a Grade 2 listed venue. When underwent a refurbishment just over 10 years ago. So it's got the historic character with modern facilities. We're really blessed with it, and as a town to have that. We've got a theatre that's 673, sorry, I'll get my numbers right, 673. But there is such a variety of event space for weddings, conferences, meetings, and actually community facilities. So as a cultural hub, it delivers a year-round programme of activity. We've always looked at it in terms of competitive fees are benchmarked against other venues and reviewed in line with the council's financial policies. There was a market analysis completed back in 2017 after the initial refurb, then back in 2019 and 2020. The halls itself plays a really vital part, and we're seeing that coming through over the last certainly 6 months even, for community, cultural and commercial purposes. It is delivering on all of those, but we want to safeguard it with that financial sustainability. So we are looking at operating costs. Those have risen dramatically, and that is due to inflation, our utilities and staffing pressures. There was a previous report back in 2025 in June that's detailed under 1.8 that purely covered theatre charges for the period for 2025-26, and the theatre fees and charges were put into operation immediately. So those have been obviously changed since the 1st of April 25. The report seeks approval from Exec Cabinet member for the external room hire and the theatre booking charges applied within the complex, obviously from the 1st of April. And there was just, I mean, the reason behind why this is a retrospective report for some elements has just been due to some significant team resource pressures for my service over the last year. And it was something that we didn't pick up. So apologies for that. I'm going to just put that forward to you all. So it is a retrospective report for that reason. As we go into section 2, so this is where we've set out across our 7 function and meeting rooms. We've got a cafe, we've got theatre space, as you're aware. We've got event space that covers different rooms, and what we have set out within the report is what the capacity is for each of those rooms and what the features of the rooms are, and that shows almost the extent of the business and the areas that we can actually accommodate within the overall venue. So we have got the festival hall, the Lancaster suite. If you do want me to talk through any of them in great detail, we've got quite a number of meeting rooms. They can be flexed. The banqueting suite, which is always reserved for mayor and civic activities, but we do use that on a private basis. We've got the Albert, which has just been through a refurb. We've invested into the kitchen infrastructure for both the Albert kitchen and the Lancaster Suite kitchen. Got quite a programme coming up over the next year for that. And then we've obviously got the Albert Halls Theatre. So we've got the biggest complement of rooms to service both our community, lots of cultural activities, but certainly looking at that commercial side, weddings, meetings, conferences, they're all coming back. We're seeing that increase, and we've got a 20% increase at the moment in Albert Hall's usage. So we are going. The venue itself is very attractive to a lot of audiences. In section 2.2, the proposed fees and charges for the Albert Halls are outlined, and what we've done is just set out each of those rooms that we've just talked about. And again, we didn't do any increases. There weren't any increases made from 2023 to 25. So what you are seeing on that column, which is labelled 2025 to 26, is a 6% increase and then a proposed 6% increase for 2026, 2027. This is due to a lot of it reflects the financial pressures that we're under. But the wider sector is under as well, right across hospitality. And what we are seeing, we've benchmarked further on in the report, but we are complementary rather than competition for a lot of the other venues that are listed. It is what I would call a responsive pricing strategy. We're really clear on that, but it is looked to ensure sustainability for our community and that commercial viability that we need to take it forward. So the proposed fees and charges for the Albert Halls Theatre are shown below. That has got a 6% increase on prices as well. Just for clarification, there are 3 categories to our charging for the Albert Halls itself. With the theatre, there's registered charities, non-commercial and commercial. All of the prices are set out there. They're set out across what we would call performance, which is more expensive, the rehearsal and the setup, the extra hours then that are commissioned. So contracts are worked up for individual pieces and individual programme elements. The Festival Hall, though, and the Lancaster Suite, and I think it's something that we've really considered quite carefully, is that we want to reclass them as function rooms. Because we've got the theatre that is majestic and it is got such potential to take that forward. But actually, both with the Festival Hall and Lancaster Suite, if we reclass them as function rooms because of the higher charges and because of the size and scale, We want to ensure that we get in a minimum of 8 hours, and that is really to look at actually what we would call build and de-rig. So actually when we're setting rooms up, we're spending our time, people have got that access. Technology is normally needed in all of those rooms. They're much bigger on capacity. So we're putting that forward. So those will be reclassed as function rooms within the report. So we wanted to ensure that we'd covered all bases. So benchmarking has been undertaken with comparable venues in Bolton, and it does demonstrate that the revised charges still remain really competitive. Comparisons have been made as you see listed, but actually what we've looked at is that large scale performance space. So we've got Victoria Halls and the Octagon Theatre. Upscaling for multi-use sort of suites. So you've got the Last Drop Village and the Holiday Inn. So we're looking at different market areas for all of these in terms of theatre, in terms of weddings, those conferences. And then you have got really some unique areas and ones that are a little bit further out, but Bolton School Arts Centre for that conference piece, and then the Georgian House. So the prices are set out within that, and just gives a comparison that we are within range. Some areas were a little bit cheaper, some were a little bit more expensive, and that's to do with the rooms that we do have available. Just moving on into, as part of the package that we have, we're trying to build this up more and more in terms of, there is full technical support, there is sound and lighting. We've just invested last year into a new state-of-the-art lighting rig that worked brilliantly. We've had the best panto sales that we've had for about the last 10 years. It's been very significant. We've taken advantage of a stage extension facility, so we were able to offer quite a lot more on that. Obviously, the theatre, we can take the seating out and it goes into a flat floor space. So we feel that there's such flexibility around the facilities that we've got. We've obviously got enhanced event and bar facilities as well, so that we can really enhance that customer experience, get them to spend more time here, and put it out as a full commercial proposition. So it is proposed, as I said, for the recommendations to delegate authority for fees and charges moving forward to the Director of Corporate Resources in conjunction with the exec cabinet member, to review where appropriate, because the market is fluctuating all the time. And as we start to see things moving forward, that will be done obviously within the scheme of delegation that's set out under Section 7. Just moving into, so what we found is that as part of offering that really commercial approach, getting those ticket sales, getting people through those doors, is that the evidence has suggested that because we are a community hub as well, and we want to really grow because of the visitor economy strategy and our cultural strategy, the use for community groups to come in, for our charities to use, it is Bolton's HQ, and we should encourage that. So it's all about the discretionary room hire charges. So we're looking at a new procedure for that. So it's for hire within the space, and it would include staffing, venue and the operational costs. We'd look at partners, charities, community groups for the use of that. What we wanted to do was to bring a procedure where there is greater clarity brought as part of that process of setting charges, and that would be reviewed on an annual basis. Because the Albert Halls is obviously as part of the council's asset, it is critical that we open our doors and let more people in. But we do, because of the demand pieces that we have on the budgets, we do need to charge. The venue is calculated a cost based on hire of both of those. And what we've done is we've worked up the costs that are detailed for room hire for both Festival Hall, Lancaster Suite, just some staffing costs. Just then we've got some basics of actually where charities come to us. So it could be the hospice, it could be Fort Alice, where they're looking to hold an event. We know what prices those come to, and therefore we can match it against the fund that we are proposing is put aside. The Albert Halls complex doesn't operate internal catering. However, because of the investment that we've made in the kitchens and in the bars just over the last 6 months, it is equipped to hold externally catered events, and we're seeing a real change in that. So we're putting extra plans in place for use for community groups to do their own thing. Decisions are being made on a case-by-case basis through the third-party event discretionary fund. That's what we're going to call it. So we've got £15,000 per annum, but as I've said previously, what we've kind of almost got up to that point of over the last few years. We've funded different charities, different organisations to host and run their events and activities within the Albert Halls, within the complex. There was the Corporate Issues and External Scrutiny Committee on the 12th of May that talked about the discretionary fund, the £10,000, and we're putting the £10,000 plus another £5,000 from a budget within marketing, comms and commercial development service forward that would cover the 3 years from 2025 right through to 2028. There is a budget comparison that is detailed on 2.18. And then in terms of the arrangement and the agreements, all requests and agreements would be put through to the Albert Halls manager. And we have got a criteria that's set out in 2.22, which is about charities and community groups. Charities and community groups who receive council patronage, those that are obviously aligned to the mayor, and those of faith. Those will not be subject to any room hire charges at all. It is the ones that sit outside of that, and would be looking for a 50% discount. So the first ones would go on the discretionary room hire costs. We are looking to just do that 50% discount for others. So an example of that could be urban outreach. So those are the ones that would receive grants through Bolton's fund. So that therefore we're twin tracking it. So it's all of the organisations that are within our Bolton Borough that can use the Albert Halls, either use it on a basis of it being free because of the discretionary fund, or from using just the discount because of them getting funding from Bolton's fund. So we're going to look to do full evaluation as we go through and look at all of that future planning and delivery. Process is really important for us because we want to track each one through. Sorry, the room's just gone dark. We've just so we're looking to do each of the applications, evaluate it. It would come to me from the manager of the Albert Halls. I'd have a look at it. We'd do an assessment and put a recommendation forward. That would go to the director and deputy director of corporate resources. We will be obviously checking in with the accountants, and I know we've got colleagues on the call as well. So 2 elements to the report. One is about our fees and charges, some retrospective and a future piece. The other one is about our discretionary fund. There are options. We could do a no change at all. We could do phased increases, but we know that the market is really difficult. So those 6% increases are in line with those that we've benchmarked against. And we are not seeing any decline when we're talking to customers and new business. And option 3 is to implement on the recommendations. Some of the financials are listed under section 4. We just need to maintain that financial sustainability and the offset of rising operational costs. That is the kind of almost the platform that we're going from. But we do want to do the balanced affordability for all of our stakeholders, but look at that commerciality, look at that income generation and how we take the venue forward. We have got, obviously, we've completed an EIA, but on the recommendations under section 7, the exec cabinet member is recommended to note and approve the retrospective increases in fees and charges effective from the 1st of April for the Albert Halls. Fees and charges for room hire and performance space at the Albert Halls for 2026-27. Approve the discretionary room hire procedure and what was set out on the financials. And then delegate authority to the Director of Corporate Resources under that scheme of delegation with the Exec Cabinet member, authorise the Borough Solicitor and the Borough Treasurer to implement their necessary changes. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki, for that comprehensive rundown through the report. So very much appreciated. Has anybody got any questions on the report? Councillor Fairclough.
Thank you. Thanks, Nikki. It was an excellent report, I have to say, and I know that from previous years it's something that you started and had lots of ideas, and I think you're doing very well. Just a couple of things. I think I've worked out the retrospective is because we've still got a little bit of the year to go before it goes up. Because I'm thinking, how could you charge people from last April? But I've clocked that one now. Takes a while to sink in. A number of things. What I would like to know, maybe it would be something you'd perhaps do offline to everybody, but I'd like to know the number of room hires that we've had in each different sort of rooms that we've got. Because I can understand the Albert Halls, obviously, and the Festival Hall and the Lancaster Suite, Banqueting Suite, but the smaller ones, such as, the sort of Artillery Suite or the Dido Suite, and in some ways, by comparison, they seem quite expensive because the Dido takes 15 people, and at 270 it's £18 per person, and there is nothing, as far as I could work out, extra that they get. Obviously, I don't know about extra things such as technical, they pay extra for, I think. So I wondered whether that would be something that perhaps was for people who just want a room to rent. It just seemed quite high to me, but that was only an aside, really. And it was more to do, my main question is on the discretionary fund. Again, apologies if I've misunderstood, but from what I think you've said, that there are a number of charities either associated with the Mayor of the Year, which they have chosen their charities, and those people would get an opportunity to hold a function, which is I think highly acceptable. The other is certain charities that we seem to be aligned with, and that's a little bit more of a concern to me, because I do feel that lots of charities in Bolton, particularly maybe the smaller charities that are just local, don't seem to get the same help, and they perhaps would need it a little bit more if they're trying to do something. I'm thinking of maybe somebody like the muscular dystrophy group, who I know like to put something on at least and got money. And so I just feel sometimes the bigger ones, such as Port Alice, brilliant, one of my charities, as you know, so I'm not biased in that way, but they always seem to be coming up, well, yes, we can help you, we can give you a free do or whatever. And I know we've got the discretionary fund, but again, it's not a lot of money if you're taking out so it just worries me that we're not really managing to get to maybe some of our smaller charities who are working away often for local groups, and how we could include them in some way. Maybe it's something you could look at for future events. Thanks.
Yeah, if I could just come back on a couple of things, if that's helpful.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, I think starting with your last point, Councillor Fairclough, I think we are keen to. We know that there's a lot of funding that is diverted from Bolton's fund, so we are keen to make sure that happens. We know on our radar who's involved already. I'm hoping that we can make that money work really, really hard and do some further work with charities and look at how we can help them to come in and use it. It is we're really clear on the vision. It is Bolton's HQ. It is the flagship cultural venue, and everybody should be coming through those doors. So therefore, we do want to make it a community hub. So we will work hard on that discretionary fund. We can absolutely get those room hires and have an analysis of actually who's used those rooms, over the last couple of years, because that's something that we've looked at, kind of who comes in. There is a lot of, as you know, there's a lot of internal meetings that take place, but we will do that analysis and we can pick that up offline if that's helpful. But the discretionary fund as it's set out it is there for charities and organisations to come and work with us and come in and use the facilities, and we will work really hard to make that happen.
The rooms, you don't need to itemise them as in, such body came in. I was just wanted to know how often they were sort of let, such as how many times Festival Hall was let and that type of thing, just to get an idea. That was all. You don't need to be quite so detailed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, Councillor Fairclough has taken my question. I was going to ask that question myself. Just to get the discretionary fund, would you have to be applying for the big fund, or how do you go about getting this discretionary fund if you're a charity? Thank you.
So if you're a registered charity in Bolton, we look at that already. There is a lot of obviously funding that is diverted through Bolton's fund, so a lot of charities and organisations are already in receipt of Bolton's fund money. So we would look at it all. We wouldn't ever we wouldn't close the doors on Bolton charities. They just need to be a registered charity and obviously make contact with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions from anybody else? Nope, can't see any indicators. On that basis, for me to make the decision, and Vicky, I approve the report as per the recommendation. Yeah, that's it really. Okay, so that's been approved. Just looking through the agenda. Is there anything else on the agenda?
No.
No, I don't think there is. So I'd just like to thank everybody for joining this meeting and see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.